Welcome to Making It. Today we're making personalized air fresheners where you're going to learn how to put your pet, your child, your face, or a drawing, anything you want really, on a hanging air freshener using our sublimation printer and laser. But first, before we can go ahead and do that, we need to vector our images, and we're going to be using Inkscape today, which is a free design software you can get online. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm launching Inkscape from my browser. There's my beautiful girl Ivy. I'm creating a new document. And perfect, there we go. So I'm just going to take a quick moment and kind of give you a little show around. So up top we have our typical options over there, and then to the right, those are different tools that we're going to be using. We can find new tools by clicking on that drop down. We'll be using several of these and we'll go through those in the class. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is import our image. We're clicking File, Import. We're going to select our image. There's Bob. And make sure it says embed up there, and then go ahead and click OK. So there's Bob. We're going to go ahead and put him on the page. We want to make sure that we are changing that to inches, and we want him to be 5 inches tall. So all of ours are going to be about 5 inches tall today. All right, so now we need to transform our bitmap into a vectored image so that way we can work with it with the laser. So I'm coming to Path and I'm clicking Trace Bitmap. And over here, I'm going to darken this. So I want him to be solid black. So I'm looking at my brightness cutoff and the threshold slider, and I'm sliding that to the right until it becomes completely solid. And that looks pretty good to me right there. And I'm going to hit apply. Perfect. So now we have a vectored Bob to work with. Our next step is to go ahead and add the outline. So we're going to right click on the red and hit set stroke. Okay, and that's going to put that red outline on the outside of him. And we want to come over to our fill and stroke menu and stroke style. And we're going to, again, change this to inches. And we're going to set the width to 0.25, 0.25. Okay, excellent. Now we're going to set the stroke style. We are setting the join to round. You can see it's rounded there right in the center. We are also doing the cap as the round, so the top two in the middle. And our order, we are selecting the bottom middle, which is the order, which is stroke, markers, and fill. And that's going to go ahead and put that on the back. Fantastic. All right, so now we're going to convert that stroke to a path. So we're going up to Path, and we're clicking Stroke to Path. And then we're going to right click. It is already selected. Right click and ungroup. And now you can see that both of those are selected. We have the inside black silhouette and the outside red line. And we want to make sure they're both selected. You'll see the two dashed boxes around them. We're going up to Path and we're going to Union, which is merging them, welding them together so that it is one solid piece. Your image will now be solid red. The next thing we're going to do now is add our second outline. So we're coming back to the red, set stroke. We're just repeating those steps. But this time we are using our drop down and we are selecting hairline. So we're going to go down and click hairline. And we want to make sure that everything else is the same. We're doing those 3 in the middle, the top 2 in the middle, and the bottom middle. And we're going to go over to that white box in the corner with the X and click it, and that's going to remove our fill. And now we can see Bob, and we just have that red thin outline. That is the line that the laser is going to follow to cut out your design. The next step is to go ahead and we're going to remove any stray lines we see on the inside of the cut mark, because that is what the laser is cutting. So any stray lines that are inside there, the laser is going to want to cut, and we want to have one solid piece in the center. So I'm going to go ahead and move Bob over, and then I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to select it and I'm going to zoom in. In order to zoom in this program, you're going to hold down the Z key on your keyboard and then just click and you'll see the magnifying glass pop up. So get on in there and look, and you can see all those little marks those little red kind of dashes that are in there. We're going to get rid of those. So I'm going to hit my space bar to go back to my selector tool, or you can go up and click select, and I'm going to double click on the red line. And I'm going to go ahead and start removing some of these extra nodes, the squares that you see here. So I can click on it and just hit delete or backspace, or I can use my left button on my mouse and drag and select several at a time. So you want to go nice and slow. You want to remove any that are hanging out into the center of your design that are going to cause the laser to cut into our back. So we're going to go ahead and do this for a bit. When you want to check your work and kind of see how you're doing, where else you need to remove some, just click outside of the image and you can take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that up here. And when that happens, you can just kind of drag them back together to join them. And that's pretty simple. So you can see that that worked and that fixed that. So I'm going back, double clicking. I need to remove this one over here. And that's going to continue until I am happy that I have no more stray red marks. I'm doing one spot at a time, going nice and slow. You don't want to remove too many because you don't want to alter the outline shape too much, but this is pretty forgiving. So I'm checking, so I got a little bit more to do in there. So when you can really see where there's really big, huge clusters of those nodes, those are the ones that you can remove. Okay, I'm going to come over here and take care of this side. So you're going to be doing this on your own photos. So the top is looking pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom now. There's not too many left. So you can see this takes a couple of minutes, but it's really not too bad. And this is going to help us have a nice clean background for our sublimation. I've got a few more in the foot that I'm going to take care of. And one more. Okay. And then you can see there's a little bit of a gap that I'm seeing down there. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to double click and just connect those two nodes together. So I'm just going to pop them on each other, and you can see that now that is fixed. So I'm happy with my outline. I'm just double checking it, making sure it's good. No more stray marks. There's no gaps anywhere in my line. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out so we can finish this up. And the easy way to do that is to come over down here in the bottom right corner where it says Z and just go ahead and hit on that minus until you can see your page. So I'm going to go ahead and place Bob back in the center there. There we go. Make sure your selector tool is on, your pick tool is on, and center him back in there so that you can see there's nothing that's going to be cutting into him. Looks good. All right. So our last step is we're going to be adding our 1/8 inch circle at the top so that we can hang our air fresheners. And it's going to be going right up top there. So I'm going to select my circle tool. You can hit F5 or you can go ahead and click the ellipse arc tool. And you're going to have to hold Control while dragging to create a perfect circle. If you don't hit Control, it's going to be an oval. But by hitting Control, it makes a perfect circle every time. So once you've drawn your circle, it doesn't matter what size you draw it at this point because we're going to be changing the measurements. You want to go ahead and click the space bar or your select tool now you can work with the circle. So I'm going to come up and change my measurements now. So I'm setting my circle circumference to 0.125 inches. So again, make sure you're in inches. It doesn't matter if you use the width or the height. I'm changing that to 0.125. That's 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to select that and I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to hit Control D on my keyboard to make a second circle. And you can't see it right now, but we're going to go ahead and resize that one. We're going to do the same thing. You don't need to do anything. The second circle is now selected because you duplicated the one on top. And I'm making that one 3/8, so I'm changing it to 0.375 inches in diameter. That's going to be the second circle circumference. So now you can see I have my two circles. I've got my little one and my big one. I'm selecting them both. So I'm holding my left mouse, dragging, and I'm coming over to align and distribute. That's the one that looks kind of like a bar graph. And I'm clicking the 2 in the center, center on the vertical axis and center on horizontal axis. And that has now centered both of my circles together. I'm going to go ahead and just move those up so we can see what we're doing here. There we go. Now we need to make sure that the smaller circle is on the top layer. Okay. So I'm coming over here now to my layers and objects. It looks like a stack of papers. And right now my larger circle is on the top layer. And so I need to switch that. So I'm clicking on layers and objects. And my smaller circle is what's called path 3 right now. And I'm going to just drag that up above my circle 3. So I'm just going to click it and drag it up to the top. There we go. So now you can see that my larger circle is on the bottom and my smaller circle is on the top layer. That's what I want. I'm going to select both of those circles just by clicking and dragging. Both are selected and you can see that in the menu to the right. And I'm going to now punch the hole out of that circle. So I'm going to path and difference, which is going to remove that center circle from the larger circle. So now it is one solid piece, and when the laser will see that as a ring with a hole in the center. Last step is we're going to go ahead and connect that to the top. So what I want you to do is drag it down and align. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see better what I'm doing. You're going to place it in the center where you want the hang, and I want you to align the bottom of that center circle, that hole, to the top of your line. Okay, so that way it's going to be one solid piece. Okay, now we're going to, our last step, we're going to select our circle and hold shift and select the line, the outline. So we both are selected. We're going to go to path and we're going to click union. We're welding those, making those one piece. That just removed the bottom part of that circle. So now that is one solid piece. So the laser will read that whole outline and cut all the way around it. And then it'll come back and cut out that center circle so that way we can hang. All right, awesome. This is fantastic. Now all we have to do is go ahead and save it. We're going to double check, make sure it's a hairline, and scroll down, make sure we are happy with our lines, that there's no other edits we need to make. We're going to save it. So we're hitting File, Save As. Make sure that it's saving it as an Inkscape SVG file, and then go ahead and rename it like any other file that you are making. I'm saving mine to the desktop, which is where we will save them tonight. And this is my Bob Air Fresh. And go ahead and hit save. And congratulations, you have just created your first item in Inkscape. Let's go ahead and make those air fresheners.